Hi everyone, I'm making this video as there seems to be a lot of confusion and misinformation in relation to when matches get abandoned in the Premier League and what the implications are for FPL. And we saw this recently happen with the Bournemouth and Luton match over the weekend when it got abandoned. And Tom Lockyer had a cardiac arrest. So first and foremost, wishing him a speedy recovery, and my thoughts are with him and his family at this moment in time. So in terms of clarifying matches being abandoned in the Premier League, there are two types of instances. So first and foremost, there are the type of matches that get abandoned before any play has taken place, as was the case with Everton against Crystal Palace due to horrendous weather just before kickoff on the 12th of February 2014. And we've also had instances in terms of snow, which doesn't really postpone matches in this day and age, but that was the case as recently as November 2021 when Burnley against Tottenham was called off. So in both of those instances, a ball wasn't kicked and the matches were rescheduled for a future double game week. So that was fairly clear. But in terms of matches being abandoned mid-game, there are precedent as to what has happened in the past. The oldest one that I can think of is a snowstorm that affected the Sunderland and Fulham match back in April 2006. Random time of the year for a snowstorm to take place, but there we go. It was abandoned after 20 minutes, and Brian McBride's goal effectively got wiped off the record books, and that match was rescheduled and replayed. And my understanding is that the FPL points from this game were completely wiped off. And there was also another instance in 2006 as well, later in that year, when it was rain that affected the Watford and Wigan match. And before the hour mark, they decided to call the match off altogether due to a waterlogged pitch. Heskey was one of the goal scorers in that match, and match was abandoned. His goal was wiped off the record books, and they did a full replay of that match. And of course, we've got the most recent instance whereby Bournemouth and Luton had to abandon the match due to the emergency situation that I've mentioned. And in this instance, it's very unique in the Premier League because this match was not abandoned due to weather. I believe it's the first match that was abandoned in play in the Premier League for a reason that wasn't weather related. And this match has ultimately led to a series of questions and speculation online in terms of what the implications are. In terms of FPL, if you go to the actual rules on the website, there isn't anything that clearly mentions what happens in the event that a match is abandoned during the middle of a match. However, they have got this important caveat in their rule section where they say that for the avoidance of doubt, points awarded in-game are subject to change up until 1 hour after the final whistle of the last match of any given day. Once the points have all been updated on that day, no further adjustments to points will be made unless under extraordinary circumstances. The last few words are the caveat whereby FPL reserve the right to make changes where applicable. And in terms of changing points that were not related to a match being abandoned, I remember that on St. Patrick's Day 2014, Luis Suarez was given extra points which weren't originally allocated due to an issue with the Opta stats. Again, nothing related to abandoned points. That was a day after, and again, extraordinary circumstances allowed them to do that update. So there is precedent in FPL where they have wiped out points in the event of matches being abandoned, albeit 17 years ago. And in the case of that 2014 instance where points weren't properly allocated, they did allocate them a day afterwards. So with all that said, looking at the laws of the games as defined by FA rules, they say that an abandoned match is replayed unless the competition rules or organisers determine otherwise. So there has been like matches that have been abandoned on the continent of late, whereby they replay the match from the point the match had been suspended. And there was also an instance, I believe, in a Belgium and Sweden match fairly recently where they just agreed to end the result and there was no replay. But in terms of what we've got here with the FA, it's talking about a match being replayed. And my understanding is that a replay is a full match. And this seems to be validated with news that came out a day after the Luton and Bournemouth match got abandoned, where reports say that the match will be replayed in full after it was abandoned, rather than the match taking place at the 65th minute mark. And if that is the case, that the match is replayed in full, that aligns with what happened with previous Premier League matches. Now, there's also an email that was doing the rounds from 2013 that has been shared on social media as well, where an email was apparently received by an FPL manager, and they were advised back then, due to a potential postponement or abandonment situation, that your player will receive points for the match played, so will not be eligible for an automatic substitution. However, will also play an extra match in a later game week, regards Fantasy Premier League support. Now, for all intents and purposes, that is simply an email to a hypothetical situation. It could have been sent by an intern, and it's not setting any rules. And at the same time, that conflicts with the precedent that was sent when matches were abandoned previously and FPL points were wiped out. Again, this could easily happen. This could be what FPL do implement going forwards. But at the same time, it's simply one email, and this hasn't happened with the previously abandoned Premier League games. Just to finish off on the Bournemouth and Luton situation, FPL Towers posted on social media that Game Week 17 will remain open after the conclusion of Sunday's matches. More information will follow in due course. So read into that what you may, but it may be the case that they're waiting for the Premier League to confirm if this match will be replayed in full, as some initial reports speculate. And who knows, they might stick with the existing precedent of wiping out points, or they might create a new precedent by freezing the game on the points that were won. But what is certain is that from the Premier League perspective, if the match is replayed in full, that the goals that were scored in Saturday's game will be completely wiped off. That's a matter of fact. And it remains to be seen if FPL will then align with that as well. So there you have it. Just wanted to share that information in terms of what I know of abandoned games from the past and what the rules say, what FPL has done in the past as well. And I hope that's provided you with some clarification as well. And it honestly doesn't matter who's going to win points or lose points in FPL. There's more to life than FPL. Take care and all the best. Thank you. Bye.